All right, here we go. Hey everybody, Real Estate Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. We're going to talk about why real estate investors need to pay attention to the trucking industry. The freight industry is collapsing, and it is a great indicator of what is to come in real estate. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. I'm going to share with you a story. Also, since this is the fastest growing channel on YouTube, I think, in the last 2 weeks, thank you to everyone that hit the subscribe button. This is a lot more than just real estate. Subscribe button. This is a lot more than just real estate. Man, I got an echo. Point being is that I thank you so much for being here. Let's start with the story, and then we're going to explain exactly why real estate investors and homeowners need to be watching the freight industry, the trucking industry, as it collapses, as a great bellwether indicator to what is coming in the real estate market. It says, this is out of Freight Waves. Failing brokerages, we're talking about freight brokerages, asset-based lending imperil carriers, says OTR Solutions. Factoring company white paper outlines Chapter 11 threat to funds meant to pay trucking companies. Let me throw out really quick, just a really quick explanation of what factoring is. Factoring is how actually banks make most of their money. They don't want to tell you that. What they do is they, the difference between when a company sells some goods to another company and it sends them an invoice, and let's say that invoice is payable in 60 days or 90 days. A company that needs to have money to be able to make more materials or more goods to provide out in the market has to now wait for that money. And instead of waiting, they take that invoice, they go to a factoring company, and they borrow against that invoice. And it really is sad because most companies run on such thin margins. They need that capital. They don't have any extra buffer. And so they lose a certain percentage. It could be 5, 6. I mean, I've seen crazy factors in the past, but percent on what they're selling, right? That also adds to extra costs in the end run. But my point being is that's where a lot of companies are. And there is a collapse happening right now in the trucking industry. Let me know if you're in the trucking industry down below what you're seeing. But freight costs per mile are dropping drastically. Why? The biggest indicator of this, or the reason why, is because the consumer is not spending. Okay, there's economic slowdown happening, and it is going to start to really accelerate this next year. We've already seen a massive deceleration in this. That also has a little bit to do with the offset or the cost of oil dropping and fuel dropping, right, from their highs, like let's say a year and a half ago. This is why countries like Saudi Arabia and other countries like Russia are trying to push up the price of oil and try and make it artificially high, all right? Not based on demand, but based on, let's say, if they just really tighten supply. All right, I'm sorry I'm getting really broad, but these are the kind of things real estate investors need to pay attention to, because this is exactly what happened in 2007. All right, so it says here, with brokerages closing and some filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, a major factoring company has published a white paper on how the bankruptcy process might leave carriers unpaid for services they already provided. OTR Solutions paper entitled Securing the Integrity of the Supply Chain, Safeguarding Carrier Payments Amidst Freight Broker Payments, was released on Monday. Core to its message is the concern that some funds forwarded to brokers or later payments to carriers might get caught up in bankruptcy proceedings, with ultimate compensation tied up for months or disappearing altogether. Here, this company is already letting people know, if you have money tied up in these factoring companies, you're probably going to have some of these funds seized for a certain period of time while litigation happens. We are seeing massive amounts of trucking companies close their doors that made it through the Great Recession no problem. This is a tragedy that's happening in trucking, but as a real estate investor, you have to realize that not only every time a trucking company closes, people lose jobs. They may be your potential tenants or a potential buyer of your home flips, but you have to understand that it's much bigger than that. The reason why, you have to look at why they're losing their jobs. They're losing their jobs. The freight rate for per mile is going down because the consumer's done. We are moving not into a recession. We're moving into a mini depression. This is a 100-year cycle. So if you're not ready for this, I don't know what to tell you. Speaking of getting ready, if you want, there's a handful more of 80% off links down below. Real estate crash course, how you could take actionable steps right now to get ready for this. And so it's 80% off of $1,000. It's $199. If it's not $199, don't buy it. It's not on sale anymore. Going on, it says one widely known Chapter 11 filing by a significant brokerage is making its way through the court system. Surge Transportation, which filed for protection in July, surge is not mentioned in the white paper, and it is possible that other bankruptcies caught OTR Solutions' eye, allowing brokers to complete a Chapter 11 restructuring by their payment obligations to carriers while simultaneously removing the carrier's right to collect from the shipper and attempting to justify the use of those carriers' funds to reorganize violates the bedrock rule of the carriers always getting paid. Even more worrisome, it threatens to disrupt the integrity of the supply chain. It becomes common practice. All right. So we've already established that the freight industry is truly in trouble. All right. If you're a trucker, my heart goes out to you because I'm sure things are changing rapidly with everyone. But you have to look at why they're in trouble. They're in trouble because the economy is collapsing right now. This is not a joke. This is not doom and gloom. Also, you have to think of things that are different right now, like these companies that are going through bankruptcy. And what happens is when trucking companies don't get paid, they are so many trucking companies are on the verge of collapsing themselves. They're running on such thin, razor thin margins. When they close, then that can break our supply chain. And I truly believe that in 2024, you are going to see supply chain deficits. You're going to see breaking of supply chains. You're going to see food not being able to get in a timely manner to grocery stores. You're going to see a lot of spoilage. You're going to see all kinds of problems because as a trucking company doesn't get paid, they can't pay their employees, they close down for a couple of weeks, then it's not like the companies that use those trucking companies just instantly get someone else on the phone and go, hey, can you do this? That's not how it works. It's actually very hard. I know a lot of people in the produce trucking industry, and it's not like they just call up and go, hey, new trucking company, let's use you today. It's not set up that way. So there's gonna be these supply chain breaks, and people need to be prepared for that. Now, right here it says, at its root, factoring is designed to get money into the hands of a carrier quickly, but for a fee. Just like I explained at the beginning of this, what factoring was in the beginning of this live stream. And finance people refer to it as a haircut. It's a lot more than a haircut. It's sad that that's how our world works, that when a company sells its goods to another company, the company goes, we're not going to pay you for like 60, 90 days. It's like they hold on to your money while they're selling your goods at a profit, and then they hand you back your money. And so it forces a lot of companies, because they run in a deficit, they run so thin, they don't have a lot of money stirred up. They go and they have to now lose 5% to factoring company. It says financing for freight brokers is structurally different than most other commercial finance arrangements, and that this is the problem that OTR Solutions attempts to highlight. It identifies two specific types of financing vehicles, differentiated by whether funds are paid directly to the carrier that was booked by the third party, or whether the lender advances money through the hands of the broker rather than directly to the carrier. Supply chain finance and asset-based lending, respectively. Look, I remember going back and forth with a freight broker 2 years ago that said I was nuts to say that this was going to happen. And now it's happening. We're seeing freight companies close their doors. As a matter of fact, I think that person's not even a freight broker anymore. I think they may have lost their mind, quite frankly. And the truth is that this is going to get worse from here. This is just the beginning. So as a real estate investor, think about the opportunities that are coming. This is not the time to hide in a box. This is the time to get prepared for this. Because as the freight industry collapses, because the economy collapses, the next thing that happens is housing. And in 2024, you're going to see fireworks by June when a flood of foreclosures that have been hidden because of forbearance hit the market. And if you're not ready today, I don't know what to tell you. Look, to everybody that's hit the thumbs up and the subscribe, thank you so much. This channel is blowing up, and I thank you so much for your support. If you want to buy the Real Estate Crash Course and start taking action right now, it's a plan laid out for you to take action right now and get ready for this, because I think this is the greatest opportunity in your life. But if you miss it, well, then you miss it. I wish I would have been more prepared. I sold 90% of my properties in 2006. I wish I would have had even more money to take advantage of what happened in 2011, 2010, that time frame. And I'll bet you many of you did too. So this is your second chance, and I think it's a big one. They don't come around very often. With that being said, the Real Estate Ninja is out.